Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the show. This is Reservations, and I'm Raine Wayland. So, if you're joining me this week, you can probably tell that Jeremy's still not with me. Like I mentioned last week, he was probably going to be gone for 2 weeks, and of course, this is only the second week. So, he should hopefully be back next week if you're really missing him. But I do want to mention this has been kind of fun in a challenging way. Having to do the show by myself, and like I said, in a challenging way. But today I wanted to do something a little different. I was even talking with Jeremy, like, man, I didn't really know what to talk about. Last week I was kind of flying by the seat of my pants, reviewing The Crow. I should have probably written down some thoughts before I recorded, but I just kind of went with what was in my head. Today I'm a little bit prepared, but still just kind of go what pops into my head to talk about first. So what am I talking about today? Well, as many of you know, many of our listeners, many of our friends know, Jeremy and I are big movie collectors, hence why I'm directly in front of my movie collection. I don't really know when it started. I just know that I just love collecting physical media. And then, of course, Jeremy really getting me into the Criterion collection, which is my first 2 rows on my bookshelf. I absolutely love the Criterion collection. I think what they're doing is very important for film in general, preserving film, giving film new life, essentially, by restoring film. And I really like the Criterion. They usually have a lot of really great films on their roster. I mean, a lot of the films I've bought purely based on word of mouth, of course. We've done pretty much a lot of them for the show. There's the Guru, Rafifi right there. So we've done a lot of films, and so from the Criterion collection. So I was talking with Jeremy, and he was like, yeah, I think you should talk about physical media and why we gravitate towards it. And so that's what I'm going to talk about today. Again, like last week, this will probably be a short, maybe 30-minute episode, but really just kind of diving into the whole thing of physical media. And with that being said, let's get started. So again, I don't know when my whole love of collecting came about. I guess maybe the earliest I can remember is probably when my dad got me into Scrubs. I found season 1 on DVD, and I really loved the box art for it. Maybe future Rain will have it kind of fly by the screen. So the box art was, of course, all the characters on the front, and it was a clear slipcover that when you pulled out, it looked like their doctor clipboard with a detachable X-ray that you could pull down. It was really cool, and that's the earliest I can remember. And then from there, I just started collecting movies I liked, movies I didn't like, just to say I had it. And then when I got older, like after I graduated high school and in my 20s, I started collecting films that I really liked, and buying them. And then I kind of stumbled onto the Criterion collection with the purchase of this movie, Fantastic Mr. Fox. I bought this, I think, from Amazon because, as we've stated many, 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 many times on the show, I'm a big fan of Wes Anderson, and I really like this cover. So I bought it, and I really didn't think much of it. Again, I liked the cover. I'd already seen the movie, and I think I had another copy, if memory serves. Sorry. I know this makes for excellent podcasting. Putting things back on the shelf. And then I think I got a few more of Wes's films on Criterion, like The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. And I remember that was right around the time that Jeremy and I started doing the show, and he was like, dude, do you even know what you have here? And I'm like, no, not really. And that's when he really exposed me to the Criterion Collection, and here we are now. Now, why the Criterion Collection specifically? Why I'm starting with this episode? Well, and again, kind of showing like with Fantastic Mr. Fox, it's because I really am a sucker for good artwork. And that goes for every kind of film, book, album. If the artwork is good, I'll give it a try. And I love Criterion's artwork that they do. I like that it's not just like the traditional, movie poster or, a generic one that was put together by the studio. I mean, not saying that some of the films I have on like 4K are generic, but, Criterion tends to be a little bit more elevated. Now, that's not to say that like Arrow Video does the same thing, but I think it's because of Criterion. Like with my Mallrats Arrow Video, this is the original poster art, but Arrow decided to have a new commissioned artwork just for the Blu-ray, and that's what it looks like. Now, I realize 5 minutes into this episode that the audio people are going to have a hard time really understanding, but just do your best, or I'm going to do my best to describe. Anyway, all that being said, I feel like Criterion has really set a precedent for the artwork on the box. So I grabbed a couple off the shelf, for example. So first one is when Jeremy and I did Dogma. He told me about the film, and I was like, okay, I'll go ahead and get it. Well, the Criterion release is so cool. It's so fascinating. If you want more information about the Dogma movement, I'll link that episode up here. And, Jeremy and I get more into the Dogma movement. But it makes sense for knowing it makes sense for how Criterion designed the artwork. And I'll go over it really quickly. Essentially, oh my gosh, I lost his name. Lars von Trier and oh, I can't remember. Oh, Thomas Vinterberg. Thomas Vinterberg and Lars von Trier started this movement where they were going to try to push themselves to make films in a certain kind of parameters. And they even had a code of conduct, rules essentially to follow. So what Criterion did is they took that concept and really ran with it. So the box art is a clear case. I'm going to open it too. Clear case with the red articles of the Dogma movement printed right on the book. And then, of course, if you know Criterion, but they also have this book of stills, the cast, and then an essay about the movie, and I'm sure about the Dogma movement as well. Then, of course, at the end, it's about the transfer, which they restored. But again, so it's just clear with this red booklet right on there, and then the front saying Dogma 1, because this was the first movie of the Dogma movement. And then the discs are just plain white. And again, that's really cool. That Criterion kind of, to use meme language, they understood the assignment. They understood that Lars von Trier and Thomas Vinterberg were doing something no other filmmakers were doing. And so they're like, okay, instead of, having maybe like the poster art on front, which is still really cool. It's really simple as well. It has the characters just on a white background. I think it's really great. They decided, okay, you know what? We're going to really get this down to almost like it's a, like an import or something like that. And I think that's really, really cool. And again, I'm doing my best to describe it for the audio listeners. But I really love that. Now, the other part of Criterion that I really, really love, kind of like Fantastic Mr. Fox, but I know if Jeremy's listening, if I focus solely on Fantastic Mr. Fox, he's going to scream at me. So instead, I chose another one because Criterion also does digibooks, so more kind of book versions of their movies, which I also really like. It makes it harder to put on the shelf, but I still really like it. So the movie I decided to go with was Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, which, yes, even though this was a Netflix film, Criterion, I don't know if they reached out to Netflix or if they reached out to Guillermo. I honestly don't know how they get the hold of their movies, but that's for another video. Now, the reason why I chose this one specifically, and Jeremy will know the reason. So when you slide out the movie, yeah, there's Pinocchio right there, but if you're really careful, it folds out for his nose that grows. And then when you open it up, you have your discs with Pinocchio on both discs, and then of course you have your booklet with your essay about the 4K transfer, and all the same stuff as the Dogma Celebration one. But I just love that they also take the time for the digibook to do something new. Now, not all of them are like that. Most of some of their digibooks are also very kind of standard and basic. Just slides out, and there we go. But then some of them, they take the time to do that. A more recent one that I got was the 4K train spotting, which you can't tell, but it actually glows in the dark. And then it folds out to reveal the discs and all that good stuff. So I love that Criterion doesn't confine themselves to snap cases or to, sorry, again, wonderful podcasting. I know what I'm doing. Confine themselves to digibooks or snap cases. They actually move with everything. Same with their box sets, which are right here, if you can see them. The box set's a little bit easier to get to, but most of them are digibooks as well, like my Lone Wolf and Cub that opens up to have the discs, and then it's essay book as well, and then it just slides right back in, easy peasy. But I like that. I just really like that. And again, I would say the thing that always gravitates me back to Criterion, one, of course, is their movie selection. My Criterion wish list probably gets updated every 3 months because I'm finding other movies that they released that I didn't realize they released, or that they're re-releasing in 4K. But that's a few of the reasons why I love Criterion. And again, I love the Snapcase and I love the Digibook. Because the other thing about Criterion is how they transfer the film, which, for those of you who don't know, film jargon, transfer is, of course, the transfer from film or digital to a digital state on a disc. And Criterion takes that very, 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 very seriously. I've actually seen videos that they've released on their YouTube channel about when they have to restore a film and when they transfer a film and all that good stuff. But anyway, so that's starting off with Criterion, because I wanted to start with Criterion first because, again, they're my first 2 rows on my bookshelf, and for good reason. Now, the next part of my bookshelf are my 4K films. And I actually I got into 4K really late. I thought it was kind of a fad. If I'm being honest, I was very much the Blu-ray guy. Like, no, I'm only going to buy Blu-rays. Like, I'm not going to buy 4K. Like, I'm never going to buy 4K. And then I started buying 4Ks. Little ones here and there. I think the first 4K I bought was probably, I'm not going to grab it off the shelf, was I think the 1980 Tim Burton Batman film. And then from there, it just kind of snowballed. Now, 4K, unless they're specifically saying so, like using another Arrow video example, like Hugo. Hugo does the same thing, and this is just a standard 4K film. But there are some, which unfortunately we probably won't get these again because these were Best Buy exclusives, that are Steelbook that also use kind of the same concept. So, if anyone can remember from 2 weeks ago, our next film that we're going to talk about is Akira Kurosawa's Raine. Well, the 4K Steelbook of this one does something really cool where when you slide up the slipcover, it reveals something hidden behind the slipcover. And again, I think that's really, really cool. I'm a man of simple pleasures. I think that's really cool. And so that's why I always collect these. Now, like I kind of mentioned with Criterion, I have Criterion box sets with multiple films, like my Cassavetes 5 films, which has 5 of John Cassavetes' best films. But if anyone can remember, before Ashley and I moved, I used to have other box sets up here. I'm sure most of you guys don't pay attention to my movies, but that's another reason why I like collecting film, is because sometimes you can get something really cool in a box set. So this was just the first one I grabbed. Hopefully Jeremy's not going to be mad at me, which is my Star Wars Skywalker Saga box set, which opens up to the films. And a lot of people didn't like this because the discs are slid in, so you have to slide them out, slide them back in, which, for any collector, you don't want to dirty your discs because you don't want them damaged. But I think it's really cool. And then, of course, if you're careful, you can get it out no problem. But the reason why I wanted this was, for one, I didn't want to buy each movie individually, which I was kind of starting to. I was kind of starting to buy each movie individually. Two, some of the movies on here weren't going to be re-released in 4K, so all of these are in 4K, like the original, the sequels, and even the prequels. And then the other thing is just that they're all neatly together in this nice little box. And I really, really enjoy that. Again, I'm a man of simple pleasures. And of course, I like that it opens up. Now, another box set that I really like is when a box set is practical, where it not only houses everything, but it also gives you, the fan, something really interesting. So, as many of our listeners know, Jeremy and I are both really big fans of Twin Peaks. I absolutely love Twin Peaks. I love David Lynch. Jeremy has converted me into a disciple of Lynch. And when I finished the original run of the show, I wanted to own it on Blu-ray. Well, thankfully, Jeremy's a great friend and gave me a copy. But then I learned, once again, through Jeremy, I guess you might say he's a bad friend for this, he told me about a box set different from the one he gave me. The one he gave me was just a simple, it had a slip cover, and then it was in a snap case with all the discs in it. He was like, well, I just got this version of the same thing that opens up and it does this and does that. And I'm like, well, that's really cool. I want that now. And thankfully, Ashley let me do that. I did have to get rid of the first version, but now I have that one. So we have Laura Palmer, but it actually is, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. We have Laura Palmer on the front of the entire mystery, but if you can kind of see, let me turn it, it actually is indented in to reveal, Laura's dead face. On the version that Jeremy gave me, it was just a picture, it wasn't actually like that. But then the box set opens up vertically and then has, a little thread to keep the box open. And then you just pull up to reveal each disc that you need to get. And then there it is. You slide it out and then you move on. But the thing that I really love, besides that I really love this, is of course at the very, very end, the very, very back. Let me get there. Hang on. Everyone, calm down. Is you have this little mound that looks like a mound of dirt. And when you pull back, there's a little note that says, well, you can't see it. It says, fire walk with me, exactly like my tattoo. And I just think that's really cool. That this just feels this feels much more interactive. And that's another reason why I had to have it. Because when Jeremy showed me his, I was like, that's really cool. I need that like yesterday. And then coincidentally, when I finished the return, I made sure I found the returns version of the same kind of thing where it opens up to reveal Mr. C, Dougie Jones, and Dale Cooper, of course. But then you go even further, and there's the digibook with all the discs in it. Because I knew, like, well, if I have that one, I got to get the return version. So I've been talking a lot about, box sets and different films and why, we like those. Now, I can't speak for Jeremy. I'm sure I'm hitting a lot of the same points that he really likes, like with Criterion and getting 4K as well. But there's another thing, too, that I really wanted to talk about with buying physical movies or physical media as a whole, is sometimes that's the only way you can get really exclusive things. Perfect example. I know most of our listeners have probably heard Jeremy and I debate backwards and forwards about the show Stranger Things. I'm a big fan of Stranger Things. I can't wait for the final season, if it ever arrives in 10 years. Jeremy doesn't care about it, but he has told me what I have is really cool. So if anyone can remember when Stranger Things was really popping off after that first season, they made a partnership with Target, or Netflix made a partnership with Target to sell exclusive Stranger Things merch and things like that. Well, I managed to snag the Blu-ray box set that looks like a VHS tape. And then, of course, you open it up with the magnetic clip on the side, and then you have your discs and then some like exclusive photos from the set and things like that. And sorry, I've never actually looked at the discs before. I just bought it just to say I had it, which then of course led me to buying season 2 on the same sort of box set, where they did something a little bit different. Instead of having the disc holder come out, it's just permanently in there. But yeah, so that kind of harkens back to kind of being sort of like exclusive. Like, yeah, I've got Stranger Things physically on Blu-ray on this really cool box set, And if I'm being honest, for young high school Raine, it was sort of a flex. Like, yeah, I got that. Now that I'm 31, it's more like, yeah, I managed to snag that. Jeremy and I constantly will text one another and be like, yeah, dude, I managed to get this, like, check it out. And, like, perfect example, this Criterion is my most recent one, Martin Scorsese's After Hours on 4K. Jeremy didn't know if he wanted to get this or not. And then I showed him all the new things inside that Criterion did, and that's what kind of sealed the deal. And he told me that he ordered it and it should be coming in pretty soon for him. And I think that's what makes physical media so fun, is that we all like to nerd out about movies that we love or TV shows that we love. And we all want to see, like, well, hey, like, I like this, I like that. Another great example is this film right here, Apocalypse Now. I really wanted it on 4K, mainly because I've never seen Apocalypse Now. I just know all the behind the scenes stories. And Jeremy recommended that I buy like a specific version of the 4K Apocalypse Now. But I distinctly remember seeing this version, the Final Cut 40th anniversary, on the sort of digibook that folds open. And I was like, no, man, I'm sorry. I need that version. And he was like, but man, like you can get the same version I have and not have to worry about this big bulky thing. And I was like, I don't care. I really like this. And I think that harkens back to, I keep using the word harkens like I'm some intellectual. But I think it goes back to how we all collect and how we all like to collect things. Because yeah, I could have probably bought just the regular sized 4K and it would have been fine, fit perfectly on the shelf. But something about this one made me like, no, I need that one. And again, I really don't know what it attributes to, but maybe we'll never know. I feel like maybe I should start wrapping up, mainly because I kind of had a time limit. I started a little late, but I mainly just wanted to talk about that with everyone, about my love of physical media. Again, I stream things just like everyone else. I stream music, I stream movies and TV shows. But on those days where I want to physically pop in a disc, hey, I've got it here. Most of the stuff that we can stream, I have it. I physically have it. And so I tell Ashley, like, hey, you know what, let's put in a movie. Not put on a movie anymore, let's put in a movie. Or even like with our vinyl, that I collect vinyl, even though I have all the albums that I have on vinyl on my Apple Music, I still like to put on the record and actually flip it. I love doing that. And I think that's why physical media is so important, and I think why everyone needs to I'm saying you have to be a collector or anything, but maybe, find your favorite films that you like or TV shows and, make sure you have a physical copy of it, because I tell Ashley all the time, if our Wi-Fi ever goes down, hey, we have it physically and we can watch that movie or we can watch that TV show. Well, everyone, I think that about wraps it up for my second solo episode. Hope you enjoyed it. I did feel like I was all over the place. Again, these are kind of hard to do by myself just because there's so many things I want to talk about and so many things I can't get across fast enough, or my brain is moving too fast and I fumble over my words and I'm not making my points correct. But again, I hope you learned something from this. I'm not saying that everyone has to buy physical media, but be sure you hold on to a few things or get a few things. But well, everyone, with that being said, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. Next week should be back to normal. It'll be nice to see. I'm sure everyone will be happy to see Jeremy again. Just for a little refresher, if anyone forgot from 2 weeks ago, we will be talking about Akira Kurosawa's Raine, which is an adaptation of King Lear, and Jeremy and I have not seen it. Neither one of us has seen it. Again, that's kind of why I brought out my 4K version, just kind of remind everyone, and also that's why Jeremy and I bought it. One, that it was a really cool steelbook, but also because it's Akira Kurosawa. But all right, everyone. Well, I hope you enjoyed my second and final solo episode, and we will see you next week for a traditional episode on the show.